a little crankbait bass right there. Little Apache Lake crankbait bass. Folks, today we were up here at Apache Lake. I'm throwing a big old crankbait here on the ledges. We might have to worm. We tried a little topwater. Just nothing's really awake yet. We're in the dog days of summer. Most people are night fishing. They're catching 20-pound bags at night. And I'll tell you what, these guys are having a lot of fun at night if you enjoy night fishing. Summertime is a good time to get out and do some night fishing on a full moon, and you can catch a lot of those big fish. We're gonna see what we can't do during the day, and maybe we can catch them up. Throw a little crankbait here for a little while. We're gonna go down the bank. I'm throwing a Strike King 6XD there, and I'll tell you what, it's a pretty nice bait. The water's just a tad bit dingy up in this area. We came up into the river area where the water might be a little bit cooler. I think the water temperature's running at 76 right here, but as we start moving up a little farther, the water temperature will cool down, especially if there's any water coming out of Roosevelt Lake. Something about this area, if they're pushing water, the fish will turn on. If they don't, then the fish, then we'll probably have to move out to the main lake areas and see if we can't catch some fish. And we might even surprise you today and catch some big worm fish. We'll throw some Texas rigs possibly today and maybe catch a fish. We'll just see what happens. Right now, I'm gonna go down the bank, see if I can get it done right here on this crankbait, maybe on the Rico as well. Got bit. Maybe he's on there. There we go, finally. Not a giant, but he'll do. Boy, I barely got him in the lip too. Man, can you believe that fish ate that worm? He only bit it like 3 times. I had to let him take it in good. I came to the bluffs, came back out to the main lake because I didn't do any good up there. And they just weren't pushing the water like I thought they would. And it's a timing thing. A lot of times in fishing, it could all be about timing. And at the right time, that's gonna be great up there. But I went to that 10-inch worm and throwing a 1/2-ounce sinker with a little bead on it. Texas rigging. I like a big old 5/0 hook. And you notice I'm not using the wide gap, just the offset shank one, okay? But, it's a great worm for at night. And a lot of times, even during the day, if you get bit on that worm, normally it's a good fish. But yeah, that fish played me out for a little bit. I thought it was a bluegill hitting me, and every time I'd pick up, it was nothing there. He finally grabbed it, but sometimes you can take these big worms, throw them up against the walls right here at Apache Lake and catch a big fish. And, I've tried the crankbait, caught a fish on it, but, there's no wind right now really whatsoever. A little bit of breeze, but not much. I'm using my Taipan Elite Series rods. You want a heavy rod, 17-pound test fluorocarbon line, really sensitive. And the reason why I like the 1/2-ounce weight is because on that worm there, a lot of times you're fishing a lot deeper. We're fishing, that 15 to 25 foot depth, Fish in the summer have to eat more. The water's warm, the water temperature out here is 80 degrees. They have to eat, they gotta eat, whether they're doing it deep or whether they're doing it shallow. But I'll tell you this much, a lot of times, sometimes in the afternoons or early mornings, you can take buzz baits, Ricos, things like that, and catch some topwater fish. We tried a little bit of Rico this morning, but it just wasn't happening. One thing I like about the bluffs is those fish will line up on these bluffs, and if you look at these bluffs, you could see how the contour comes down. It's got like little caves in it, little cracks and crevices for the fish to hide in. It's the same way straight down underneath the water. So a lot of times if your worm's falling, they'll come out from underneath that crack, or it'll fall on a ledge and those fish will hit it. Oh, there's a bite. Got him. There's a bite right off that bluff. Yeah, that's a little bit better fish there, son. That's what I'm talking about. Little Texas rig bass. Those are the kind of fish you want to catch right there. Yeah, that's what you're looking for off these bluffs right here. Son, Get over here. Look at that fish, huh? That's a 10-inch power worm bass right there. Beautiful fish. Now that's kind of what you're kind of looking for, something like that, you know? Catch some of them fish off the bluffs. Real simple and a lot of fun. See you, bud. You know, all you're doing, and if you take a look at the bluff right now, look at the little shade pockets. All I did, I threw right into that little shade pocket right over there. Right on the bank, let it fall to the bottom. Getting bit right there, he's running off with it. Oh, that's a good fish. Oh yeah, that's a good fish. That's a good one, folks. Here he comes. Look at the size of that fish. Look at that. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, that's one thing nice about having that 17-pound test line, heavy rod. We got them in open water now, so it's not like you gotta muscle them all in. Let them fight it out a little bit, just in case you got a little fray on the line from the rock. You just never know. Look at that, that's a good fish. That one took it as it was falling. Ah, I got you. Big old Apache Lake bass on my 10-inch worm. Look at that fish, folks. They're healthy here at Apache Lake. Healthy bass. What just happened there, just so you know, I threw up in that crack right up there. When you find these little cuts and stuff in the bluffs, it's fun to fish. Probably a ledge there. Soon as I threw it in that shade spot, it's falling, it's falling, it's falling, all of a sudden, da-dunk. You know, right now, look how close we are to the bank versus where we're sitting. We're sitting in 55 foot of water right here. And you're probably wondering why you'd throw a Texas rig in 55 foot of water, but you gotta remember that when you're tossing up close to the bank, close to the bluffs like what we're doing, you're hoping to find that little ledge that sits out, and as the bait falls, it falls on that ledge, and a lot of times that's where the fish are sitting. So even if you're fishing in an area like this and it just keeps going and going and going, and you know, it's not really a lost cast, because a lot of times, like I said, they can come out from a pocket that they're hiding in the rock and come out and blast your bait. But in saying that, a lot of times what I'm looking for when I toss out there is I'm hoping that my bait hits a ledge or something, and I can work the worm just a little bit or let it sit there on the ledge and hope the fish is there. That's one of the reasons I'm not working this bait all the way back to the boat either. You know, I'm letting it fall, and once it falls to the bottom, if it ever falls to the bottom and hits a ledge or something like that, like it just did there, I'll work it off that ledge. And then if it doesn't seem to fall on nothing else after that, I'll reel it up and cast it right back up alongside the wall. You know, this ain't a bait I'm gonna try to fish 50 foot under the water or 60 foot under the water with all the way back to the boat. So it'll help you, you know, you just, you know, shake it a few times or pull it real slow or something like that off that little ledge. And once it falls off that ledge, I don't get bit, I just go ahead and throw it out again. And I'll try to get as close as I can to the ledge. I mean, you want to almost, if your bait hits the ledge and falls in, that's fine too. But you want to be right there on the wall. There's going to be times when you're in, you know, everybody will say, well, I'm catching them in 30 foot of water, 20 foot of water, 10 foot of water, whatever. But on bluffs, it can be anywhere. You know, your lure might drop 20 feet, pop a fish. Your lure might only drop 10 on the next cast, pop a fish. So they're just hanging, they're using those ledges. And that'll help you when you're fishing like this, not worrying I don't worry so much about the depth of water. If I throw out there and it only falls 10 feet, I feel like I still have a good cast in and there's a potential fish there. I don't think that it has to land in 20 feet every time or 30 feet every time. No! I don't know how big that fish is. Now he's fighting. He just realized he was hooked. Ooh, he was eating that bait. He was eating that bait. I missed him twice. That time I got him right in the jaw. There we go. Beautiful fish. A lot of times, you gotta remember, when you feel those little bites that feel like bluegill, that's what you might be able to pull out right there. See you, buddy. I was sweeping the rod tip and I'm feeling this and I'm like, and I thought I let him take it long enough and I set the hook and nothing happened. And I'm like, so what happened was I just fed it line, let it go right back down. And then all of a sudden I felt him really take it. And that's when I set the hook and was able to get him. But he was there. One thing cool about power worms is they have that scent. I don't know if they like it, they eat it, or, you know, I mean, it helps. Any kind of scent would help, I would think. Keep these fish to hold on, you know, when they grab it. So, and like I said, you know, I've talked before about how to work the worm, but there's a couple of different ways I like to work it, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna go back up here, take another toss in there. That fish was running pretty good. I'm wondering if there's something else in there. That was a good little deal. But let me show you a few different ways to work this worm. A lot of times when I throw out there, and I'm gonna throw right along the wall again. There's a rock right there. Okay, I'm on the rock right there. Let it fall. I feed it a little line. Now, here's the deal. If you don't feed it line on these bluffs, if you pull your line tight and just let it fall, a lot of times what'll happen is your bait will end up going right up underneath the boat. So you gotta feed it line until it hits the bottom a lot of times on some of these steep walls. But what I was doing, like I was telling you before, was sweeping the rod tip. Sweeping the rod tip for me is I take and kind of have my rod just like this, straight across from me, and I'll take and just kind of sweep it like this, and I'll drag that worm because you want to keep the worm on the bottom. And I'm not quite sure sometimes where that drop off is. So if I sweep it, I can kind of feel like it bumping over a few rocks or something like that. You can feel it really good on the bottom, and that way it'll allow you to drop your rod tip a little bit. Like right there, I'm on a rock, but I just pulled off. So I'll let it fall right back down. It's another thing, when you get hung up down there on a little rock, if you can kind of get it unhung without setting the hook too hard, a lot of times those fish are right there. Okay, after you do the rod sweep, that's kind of like what I like to do. There's another technique that you can do as well. If you're coming over big boulders, instead of sweeping the rod tip and getting hung up or something like that, if you're coming over pebble rock, that's rod sweep works really good. But if you're coming over some big boulders or something like that, a lot of times you use that 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock deal, and you just kind of what you're doing is lifting the worm up over the rocks and stuff. So you can just kind of do that 9 o'clock, have your rod at about 9 o'clock, and just kind of work it up a little bit over the rock, and then set it back down. And there's times in one cast where I do both. I'll do that to get over the big rock, and then I'll go back to the sweeping of the rod tip to drag it. So there's a couple of different ways there, and you gotta work it real slow, but you'll feel the bottom. You know, with the tungsten weight, fluorocarbon line, a great rod like a taipan rod, total graphite, you can feel everything down there. You can feel a fish breathe on it. So you'll be able to feel the rocks down there. You'll know whether it's pebble rock or it's those big boulders, and you'll be able to feel it. You know, folks, for my tip of the week, one thing that's really important to do is, a lot of people, I always tell them, check your line, check your line. When you're Texas rigging, okay, one thing that I notice a lot of guys do, they go, oh, it feels fine, oh, it feels fine. Let me tell you something, when you're getting stuck on those rocks down there, and this sinker's bumping up and down, and your worm's coming up, believe this or not, a lot, and I mean a lot of you nicks in your line are gonna be right here, right underneath the weight. Right there, I feel the fray. Right there where the weight's at, there's a big old fray there. So what I need to do is cut and tie cut and tie again. But underneath the weight, a lot of times, a lot of folks don't check that, and you wonder why you break fish off. Hey, I just checked it, the line seemed nice. Tell you what, every once in a while, just go ahead and check underneath the weight. You'll find that there's a lot of fray there, getting hung up on those rocks, and just change that out. That'll help you catch a lot more fish. Got him. All right. That fell about 10 feet and I got the bite. Oh, that's a good fish. That's what I'm talking about, son. Yes. Oh, come on, buddy. Come on. 3-pounder. You just whale him up, you know. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I don't want you coming off. Yeah. See where I stuck him? Look at that. You got to give him a little time sometimes with this bait. Now, I've said for a long time, look how fat that fish is. That's over 3 pounds. I've always said that fish don't have hands. So when you feel the bite, set the hook, they got it. But on these big worms, sometimes you got to let them take it. They'll eat these worms. You know, you'll feel it and you're like, maybe he don't have it. There's been so many times on this big worm where they've grabbed the tail, and sometimes it takes a couple of bites on it for them to suck it all in. Got him. That's a good fish. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh, he was on that ledge. Beautiful 3-pound bass. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Apache Lake bass. Can you believe that? Come on, Moby. Come on, Moby. Come on. You tried, didn't you? You tried swallowing that, didn't you? Didn't you? Ah, look at that. Man, he tried swallowing that bait. By golly, I'll have to get the little deal on him there. There we go. Look at that fish. That's what I'm talking about, son. Yeah, nice little 3-pounder right there. Beautiful fish. We'll let it go. I'll tell you what. All right, bud. See ya. You can't beat the bluffs during the summer. I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun to fish. Big old Texas rig worms in the middle of summer. Sure, the fishing's better at night, but you can still come out here and catch some fish during the day. It's about 11 o'clock now. I think we're about done. I've had a great time on the show today. I want to dedicate this show to my dad. He really loved throwing that 7-inch power worm, Texas rigging it like we're doing today. Dad, today we threw one that was 10 inches, and I'll tell you what, we caught some quality bass right here at Apache Lake. Thanks for joining me on the show. Till next week, I'm Johnny Johnson. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about, folks.